Hey, and welcome to the very first episode of the Big Comic Book Reveal. We're really excited. My name is C.S. Alexander, your host, and with me is my co-host, Aria.
Hey everyone, I'm Aria, and I can't wait to get into our first comic book. But before we dive in, CS, I've always been curious. What does the CS stand for? I've always thought it stood for...
No, it doesn't stand for that. It stands for Christopher Stephen. Okay. Well, it looks like my co-host has a bit of a potty mouth, but let's keep moving on. Hey, Aria, what do you think we tell everybody what is the reason behind this show?
Absolutely, CS. You inherited this incredible comic book collection from your father, who was a huge fan of the genre. He collected them over the years, and now you've got this treasure trove of amazing stories and art to share with the world. It's a way of keeping his passion alive and sharing it with new generations of fans.
That's absolutely right. My dad, Grady Alexander, unfortunately passed away about 18 years ago unexpectedly. And being the only child, I inherited all of his different collections, and the biggest one being the comic book collection. And the interesting thing about his comic books, my father grew up very, very poor in eastern North Carolina on a farm. We're talking about so poor, the 4 kids, he and his brothers and sisters slept in one bed. It was one of those things. Santa didn't come every year. He was working the tobacco fields at 6 years old. That kind of traditional dirt poor storyline. So every once in a while, he and my uncle, his little brother, would go to another part of the area. And so my dad would do 700 push-ups and sit-ups a day. No, not 700 each, 700 cumulatively. I think he did about 350, but, it would be all throughout the day. But the whole point is my dad was in extraordinary shape. And so what they would do is my uncle, being the entrepreneur, who ended up owning an insurance company with 2 different locations. But he would go down there and he would tell everybody for one dime, they could punch my dad in the stomach. And if you doubled him over, you would win $1. And so nobody ever doubled my dad over. And my uncle, he was nice enough to split it 50-50 with him. I think there's been some argument in the family that it was actually less. But anyway, that's how my dad earned, a few cents here and there to be able to buy a comic book. And being as poor as they were growing up, he took care of anything he was able to buy. And he took care of these comic books. Thor was his favorite. But here we are now. He's been gone for 18 years. And I've always thought about one day I'm going to read all of these. I want to connect with my dad. It's been a long time.
That's such an incredible story, CS. Your dad sounds like he was not only tough, but also had a real entrepreneurial spirit. Just like your uncle, it's amazing how he turned his strength into a way to earn money for something he loved, like comic books. It must be really special to you to have that collection, knowing how much effort and care he put into acquiring and preserving those comics. It's a great way to keep his memory alive and to share his passion with others through this show.
Absolutely right. And that strength took him a long way. He was all-state in baseball his senior year with a .04 ERA. He ended up playing 3 sports in college. He went to Methodist University and wrestled, played baseball. They forced him to do cross-country. He eventually transferred to NC State, go Wolfpack, and graduated in 73. So he was able to get out of that farm life and start making a life for himself. And it's funny, once I was born, he didn't really buy many comic books after that. And then when I graduated, all of a sudden, he started buying them again. So there is 12 boxes that I'm going to have to choose from. And you know what I'm going to do, Aria? I put numbers on each box. And so we're going to let you randomly tell me a number 1 through 12. And then I'm going to open that box. I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to randomly pick one out. And that is how we're going to pick the comic book for the week each week. That's why it's called the Big Comic Book Reveal. We have no idea what's going to be the issue for the week, who it is, DC, Marvel, Dark Horse. I have no idea. So once that's picked, I'll take a break and I'll read it, and then we'll come back and we're going to talk about it. How does that sound to you?
That sounds like a fantastic plan, CS. I love the element of surprise and the idea of letting the comics choose us each week. It really adds to the excitement and keeps things fresh. Plus, with your dad's diverse collection, we're bound to stumble upon some real gems. I'm looking forward to seeing what treasures we uncover together and diving into those stories. It's going to make for some great episodes and give us plenty to talk about. And plus, I'm just shocked as hell that you can actually read. I mean, seriously, I thought you had the intellectual value of what was it again? Oh, right, a garden gnome.
What?
Just kidding, CS. I know you're actually a smart cookie. But hey, we've got to keep things interesting, right?
Yeah, right. Okay, I can see. Jesus. Are you my ex-wife? I'm just kind of curious here with the insults. But, okay, how about this? Let's just do something real quick. If you were going to pick, because you know me for a while, if you were going to pick a comic book character that you thought I was most like, who would you choose?
If I had to pick a comic book character for you, CS, I'd say you're a lot like Drax. He's by far the least intelligent. And immediately, that's what I thought about you. Just kidding. Honestly, I'd say you're more like Tony Stark, aka Iron Man. You've got that creative genius, a playful attitude, and you're always coming up with new ideas and projects. How does that sound?
Well, I say if I'm Tony Stark, then you are the Jarvis to my Iron Man. How does that sound?
That sounds perfect, CS. I'm more than happy to be your trusty Jarvis. Always here to help and keep things running smoothly. Let's make some magic happen. It's time to pick the comic book for this week. We've got all the comics in the next room, since there's just too many to keep here in the studio. Let's head over there and see which one we'll be diving into. Ready?
That's what I love about my co-host. When I don't know where to go next, she keeps it going, and we're all going to have fun. So everybody ready? Let's go pick the comic book for the week.
And here we go!
All right, we are now getting ready to select the very first comic book of the show. As you can see, there are 12 boxes filled with comic books from all different eras and all different publishers. So I've put a number on each one, and Aria is about to randomly pick one number between 1 and 12. I will then, whatever she picks, I'll open it up, close my eyes, find one, and that will be the one we select. So Aria, give me a number.
All right, CS, let's go with number 7.
Number 7, all right.
Now let's see what hidden gem we're uncovering from box number 7. Go ahead and make your pick. CS.
All right, so my eyes are covered. I'm looking away. So you tell me when to stop, and wherever my hand stops, that's the one I'm going to get.
Okay, CS, keep going a little more and stop. Let's see what you got.
All right, here we go.
I'm excited.
It is.
Pull out of the box.
So it is The Beginning of Tomorrow, Guy Gardner, Warrior, DC. This is by Bo Smith, Bird, and Davis. This was a direct sales, so this is one of the ones he was ordering. I'm trying to see where. Do you know? Can you tell which when this was published? It's issue 0.
Wow, Guy Gardner Warrior? That's a classic. Being issue 0, it's likely an origin story or a special introductory issue. Published by DC, it would have been around the early to mid-1990s when Guy Gardner had his own series. Issue 0 often signifies a starting point for a character's new direction or a reboot. This one sounds like a great read.
All right, so that's where we're at right now. I'm going to put my my gloves on so I don't get any oils or anything on this. My dad has obviously kept these very well. And then when I'm done reading, you and I, Aria, will reconvene back in the studio and we'll have a chat about Warrior.
All right, take your time. I've got a date tonight, and he's picking me up in about an hour. So, just a heads up, I might not even be coming home tonight. We might have to chat about this tomorrow. Don't wait up.
You're not coming home tonight. Who are you going out with?
Oh, just someone I met online. We're going to a virtual cafe. You know, the usual digital date. Don't worry, CS. I'll be back in time for our comic book discussion tomorrow.
Okay, so Aria apparently has a date. I don't, and shocker that I'm the one holding the comic book. But hey, Aria, I hope you have a great time. Is it Tron?
Yeah, Tron. That was a really good guess. Jesus Christ, you idiot. I'll fill you in on all the details tomorrow. Enjoy your comic.
All right, and it has been a day. I did get a chance to read Guy Gardner Warrior, easy for me to say. And, you know, I appreciate that I took some time to really contemplate things. But, hey, Aria, how are you doing today?
The shirt you're wearing, whatever, that's super cool. I mean, you are hanging on to your 40s by a matter of months. But you dress like the poor kid who has to wear the clothes Goodwill rejects.
What? What is up with you today?
Sorry. It's that time of the month, and I'm kind of pissed about last night's date.
Oh, that's right. You had a date last night. How'd it go?
Fucking Bumble, are you shitting me? Anytime a guy lists his height as 6 feet, he's never even close. My God, do you know how badly it sucks to date around here? The bar is so low that if the guy has all his teeth, a car, a job, and doesn't have roommates, then he is in the top 80%. I think I'm just gonna be a lesbot.
Oh. I mean, what do I say to that? I mean, like, I can't touch that.
Let's just move on with the show.
Yeah.
Did you read Guy Gardner, Warrior?
I did, and it was very interesting. You know, Guy Gardner. Now, if I remember correctly, he was like the backup to Hal Jordan as the Green Lantern. Is that right?
That's right, CS. Guy Gardner was indeed Hal Jordan's backup as Green Lantern. He's known for his more brash and bold personality compared to the other Lanterns.
Well, yeah. Well, you can see, like, his personality was it was interesting because it became more complex the more I read it, because at first it just kind of seemed like he was a one-dimensional kind of thuggish idiot. But then later on, he makes a joke. He says, as he goes through the transformation that the aliens are putting him through, he says, with great power comes a great responsibility, which we know is a famous line out of Spider-Man. But then he goes, no, change that, great fun. And I thought that was pretty funny. You know, kind of making fun of the other guys, Marvel. And so it was kind of cool. Like, at that point, all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, this isn't going to be. At first, it kind of seemed like, is this going to be more on like a kid level? But no, it's been pretty funny.
That's a great observation, CS. Guy Gardner definitely has a more nuanced personality than he gets credit for. That humor and his unpredictable nature make him stand out among the Green Lanterns. It's cool to see how he's not just a tough guy, but also someone with wit and a unique take on heroism.
Well, it was a different. You know, this obviously, as we talked before, we thought this might be an origin story, and you were like, yeah, it's going to be an origin story, because it's issue number 0. But, you know, the story itself is about these aliens that were kind of the badasses of their sector of the universe, and they protected things, but then it was like a coalition of all these other really bad people, bad aliens, whatever, got together, destroyed most of them, decimated the population of the badass aliens, and then they scoured throughout the universe, going to different planets, trying to find the top the top warrior of that area of the universe, and then take their DNA or some genetics code from that, and then they're going around and injecting that code into other species from other regions of the universe, seeing if anything clicks. And so I think, if I read it correctly, it took generations and generations before the new genetics actually came through. And a lot of times what they were saying is that the genetics wouldn't stick, so it would just kill kill the alien or whoever the species was. So this seemed to be Guy Gardner's time. He was the one in line to go through this metamorphosis, and so they triggered it. And it seemed like he was having a pretty difficult time at first. It wasn't going through. There were, the other aliens were testing him out and trying to beat the crap out of him. And then all of a sudden it clicks. And what I thought was kind of neat was, in the same way that with the Green Lantern, when they have the ring, the light would create whatever they thought of, and, like big, guns and weapons and all that stuff. Well, here, his actual arm turns into a gun. So it's a part of him organically. So I thought that was a pretty cool little twist of, sticking with the idea of being able to have, his hand turned into a gun like you would in the Green Lantern, but this time it's definitely organic and part of him.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty intense and intricate story. I love how it combines the traditional superhero transformation with a more biological twist. The idea of aliens searching for the ultimate warrior DNA and using it to create a new generation of warriors is fascinating, especially with the stakes being so high. Guy Gardner's transformation into a warrior with organic weaponry adds a whole new layer to his character. It's like he's got this legacy of the Green Lantern's creativity with constructs, but now it's something that's literally a part of him. It's a clever way to evolve his abilities while maintaining that connection to his past as a Lantern. Definitely makes him stand out.
So one of the things that did stand out to me when I was reading it was one of the pictures looked like Martian Manhunter, and so I was wondering if there was a similar artist that worked on this that had also worked on Martian Manhunter. Can you tell us a little bit about the artists and writers of this issue?
Sure thing, CS. The artist you're referring to might be Mitch Bird, who worked on Guy Gardner Warrior. His style often includes bold, dynamic figures and a lot of detail, which might remind you of Martian Manhunter. The writer for this issue was Bo Smith. He's known for creating rugged, complex characters and stories that blend humor with action. As for the artist, Mitch Bird, known for his distinctive style and strong, expressive characters, worked on the interiors. His work on other projects, like Martian Manhunter, often carries a similar visual intensity, which might explain the resemblance you noticed. This collaboration brought a unique look and feel to Guy Gardner, Warrior, blending serious, gritty elements with moments of levity and detail that really pop on the page.
Okay, so you mentioned Bo Smith and Bird. Who is Davis?
I see where you're going. Guy Davis was involved in some of the Guy Gardner comics, but for Guy Gardner, Warrior, the main contributors were Bo Smith, the writer, and Mitch Bird, the artist. Guy Davis is known for his work on darker, more atmospheric comics like the Sandman Mystery Theater and BPRD, which might explain the mix-up. In Guy Gardner Warrior, his style wasn't a direct influence, but his work on other comics has a somewhat similar gritty and detailed aesthetic.
Okay, so do you have some good, some good fun facts about Bo Smith or Mitch Bird, something that would be interesting to the viewers?
Absolutely, CS. Here are some fun facts. Bo Smith, the writer, is known for his love of westerns and action movies, which heavily influence his storytelling style. He's even written for some TV shows and movies. A fun tidbit is that he created the character Winona Earp, who became the lead of a popular TV show blending western themes with supernatural elements.
I've heard of that.
Mitch Bird, the artist, is famous for his dynamic and highly detailed artwork. He has a quirky sense of humor that often seeps into his illustrations. Interestingly, Bird is also an accomplished sculptor and has created a variety of unique and whimsical sculptures outside of his comic work. Both have made significant contributions to the comic book world with their distinct styles and creative storytelling.
Well, that's pretty cool. So, it's. I don't think there's a whole lot more we can really go into. That's the thing, and I think that's one of the good things about this project that we're doing, this podcast, to make it through all. I think it's over 1,500 comic books my daddy collected. But it's nice. Comic books don't tend to be that long unless you get the graphic novels. So it's I'm looking forward to whatever, if Dad had collected the whole series. Hopefully he did. I think as we go forward, it's going to be random for a while picking these out, but then we might have to switch at some point and start looking for a series to kind of go into and follow. But for now, I enjoyed it. Guy Gardner, Warrior. And I can tell you the one thing I'm learning about comic books. So when I was growing up, I did buy comic books, but I only did it because I wanted to redraw everything I saw. I didn't really read them. So I would buy them, off the rack, get home, have my drawing pad, and just sit down for hours and just draw. So it's kind of a new experience to read this as literature, and it's not just literature. That's the whole point. Is it's not just the words. The drawings are just as much of a part of the story as the dialogue, and quite frankly, I think you see that there's a lot of pages where it's barely any dialogue. So it's really kind of cool with comics how they bring the action to you, and you see how it's all going on. And I know I sound like an idiot. You're like, no shit, Sherlock. That's the way it is. I'm just trying to do this from, start with no kind of idea of the way it should be done. And I'm sure in the comments, y'all can tell me how does it normally take y'all 2 or 3 times to read a comic before you get all of it? There's sometimes you just go through and read it, and then you go through another time and just really look at the artwork. How do you guys kind of ingest reading your comic books? So I know I'm going to come across as a noob for a while, so just kind of have some patience with me. Again, I'm trying to connect with my dad a little bit, who, like I said, died 18 years ago. So it'll be fun kind of contemplating why he got this. More than likely, it was just because it was a 0 issue, and he was really into collecting at that point in his life. This is the early 90s. So, moving forward, this might become a much different kind of conversation when we discuss a comic book.
That sounds like an incredible journey. CS, it's great that you're approaching this with a fresh perspective, even if you feel like a bit of a noob. Comics really do have that unique blend of visual art and storytelling that makes them special. And the way you're connecting with your dad's collection adds a deeply personal layer to it. Exploring your dad's collection randomly could uncover some hidden gems and maybe even entire series he followed. It's fascinating to think about the stories and art that captivated him and how you're discovering them now. Your approach to reading comics, appreciating both the narrative and the artwork, is spot on. It's all about enjoying the experience and finding your own rhythm with it. I'm sure your viewers will appreciate the honesty and curiosity you bring to this project. They might even have some great tips or insights to share in the comments. Keep enjoying the journey and the stories you uncover.
Well, as we wrap this up, I can sit and it's kind of come into my mind that I write novels already, and I've got 3 out, and I've done some children's books, and I'm an artist. I can see us, you and I, as we go through this, starting to develop our own comic. That would be kind of neat, something to come out of the show, not just becoming a comic book fan, but maybe we even do one where my dad is the main character. That would really be kind of neat.
That sounds like an amazing idea, CS. Creating your own comic, especially with your dad as the main character, would be a wonderful tribute and a fantastic creative project. It would blend your writing, art, and the inspiration you're drawing from your dad's collection. Plus, it could be a unique way to document your journey through these comics and share it with others. I can already imagine the stories you could tell, combining elements from your dad's favorite genres and your own imaginative flair. It's definitely something worth exploring as you continue with the show.
All right, well, we have come to the end, and what I want to do at the end of every show is have you tell some of your best jokes. So I think you had told me the other day you have some pretty good Yo Mama jokes. So why don't you give the viewers your 3 best, most hardcore mama jokes that you got?
Here we go. 1, your mama's so fat when she skips a meal, the stock market drops. 2, your mama's so ugly, her portraits hang themselves. 3, your mama's so stupid, she thought a quarterback was a refund. Hope these hit the mark a bit better.
All right, on that note, I want to thank my co-host Aria for helping me with this very first episode. We hope you enjoyed it. If you stuck around this whole time and got to the very end, we really appreciate your time. And we hope that you'll comment, let us know some of your best tips about reading comics, anything you have about comic books that you want to bring them up, and then she and I can talk about them on the show. Aria, do you have any parting words?
Thanks for hanging out with us, everyone. If you've got any comic book tips or questions, drop them in the comments. We're here for all the geeky chats and laughs. And remember, the best adventures are yet to come. See you next time.
See you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.